Karen from Catawba Science Center. October is Cheers to Mr. Bierbauer month. We are celebrating his 70th birthday and his 40th work anniversary at Catawba Science Center. To learn a little bit about beer, we have Bobby Bush from Hops and Grapes. He's going to do some beer tastings. You can learn along as well. Don't forget, you can support Bruce in the Science Center by purchasing a Science After Dark cup. Thanks.
Thank you for coming here tonight, Bobby. I'm Bruce, the naturalist here at the Science Center. We're doing a beer tasting. This one is Tierna, aged in oaken barrels, an ale from the Allagash Brewing Company in Maine. And another Allagash is a white style wheat beer. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of that one. We'll let Bobby do it. But before we came to Hickory, my wife and I spent the winter of '79 on an island off the coast of Maine, not too far north of Portland area. None of these breweries were out there.
Not really. Allagash, as Bruce explained, is in Portland, Maine. They have spent their existence since 1995, 25 years, making Belgian-style beers. And Belgians, along with the English and the Germans, are more or less given credit for creating most of the styles of beer that we have in the world today. I don't have time to go into everything, but Allagash is really interesting. They've taken the Belgian styles, and while everything they brew is not traditionally Belgian, they've adapted a lot of it to their own styles. This, though, is a traditional beer. It's called Allagash White, also known as WIT, W-I-T, or sometimes W-I-T-T-E. It's a Belgian wheat beer, and really what makes this beer unique in terms of American wheat beers or German Hefeweizens wheat beers is the fact that is the yeast that's used, a Belgian strain, and the fact that it has coriander and dried bitter orange peel, called a name I have a hard time pronouncing, but it's Curaçao. It's spelled, well, it's got a funky little C, so I'm not even gonna try to spell it. Anyway, it's very light. This beer is 5.2% alcohol. It's available year-round from Allagash, which is nice, because if you like it, you can buy more. It's the beer we stock all the time at Hops and Grapes. 5.2%. It's nice and clear. It's not filtered, but it's nice and golden. So Bruce, I'll let you sample some there. And this is just a nice, light, refreshing beer. The coriander and the dried orange peel give it kind of a dry finish, and it's unique, but it's common in Belgium. There's so many great wheat beers. If you're ever in Belgium or even a country close by, and you have a chance to have a fresh wheat beer, white beer, try it. It really is so good. I was curious about the name Allagash. It's not a family name of the owners, but it's actually a wilderness area in North Maine, the North Woods they call it, North Cadogan. The name Allagash comes from an Indian, Abenaki language. It's a dialect of the Algonquin. You've probably heard that word. The Algonquin languages, spoken by the Penobscot tribe. The word means bark stream. So I'm guessing it's a river or a creek. But anyway, Allagash has been a very successful company. And cheers.
Cheers.
It's got a little bit of spiciness from the coriander and actually the yeast. Mm-hmm. Sometimes with a Belgian yeast, you'll sometimes get a little banana estery taste. I don't get this here, do you?
I get more of the orange.
Yep. So you taste it in the orange peel, which to me kind of dries it out. It's a slightly acidic orange peel. But it really finishes clean and dry, which means it's pretty much fermented all the sugars.
And it leaves just a little bit of interesting spice.
Mm-hmm. Now you'll find American versions of this, sometimes true to fact, true to tradition. But there's a brewery in Charleston, North Charleston, called Westbrook, that makes a beer they call White Thai, Thai. And instead of coriander and orange peel, they use ginger and lemongrass. And it's really, 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 it's a year-round beer that we keep on hand. It's a really, really refreshing beer, just like this. So the next Allagash beer that we have, as you can see, is a caged and corked bottle. Always, particularly, you don't want to be disappointed, bring a bottle opener just in case the cork breaks off. Also, in case it spews, because that cage isn't there just for looks. It's there because the bottle's under pressure. Champagne is the same way. They don't put cages on wine bottles because they're not carbonated. They're not effervescent. That's always nice to hear. And you see a little bit of mist on the top of the bottle. I've never had this beer. I've had plenty of whites from Allagash. It's at least a once a year beer and maybe a once in a lifetime. This beer was bottled in September 2015. 375 milliliter bottle, half a wine bottle. It's aged in oak, and actually it's a blend of two different versions of the beer. One was fermented with 100% Brettanomyces. Brettanomyces is a yeast. I used to think it was a bacteria, but it's a yeast, and it really, I got to cheat here. Under aerobic conditions, which means that oxygen is present, it produces large amounts of acetic acid. So it's a souring agent. It really can give beer some pretty funky flavors. And the other blend, and they don't say if it's a 50-50 blend, they just say if it's a blend, was fermented in stainless tanks, stainless steel, like some wines are. If you like a Chardonnay that's buttery, it's aged in oak. If you like one that's not, it's aged in stainless steel, is my understanding. But it's aged in stainless. The other half, or other part, is aged in stainless steel tank with two different Belgian yeast strains. And they don't go into detail. You can learn a lot from reading the label. Even more if you want to look it up online. According to the online information on this beer, have you tasted it yet? You go ahead. See if what I read is appropriate.
I'm going to offer you cheers first.
Cheers, Bruce. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
I mean, you've had so many birthdays in October, you're going to be 80 before you know it.
Let's hope not.
Dark golden, I don't know if I'd call it dark, tart beer. The aroma, it says, is citrus, pineapple, and bread. I get the bread, that's from the yeast most likely. I'm not sure I get any pineapple. I get some citrus. And the flavor, notes of grapefruit, lemon, and bread crust. What's the difference between bread and bread crust? Maybe they're salty, or I don't know, with a long, dry finish. And that's probably due to the Brettanomyces. But that's really cool. And that's, to me, that's what's unique about beer. It's that you can find a beer like this that may never, ever be brewed again. Because they release small bottle beers like that all the time. And they're not cheap and they're not easy to find. We try to bring them in whenever I can because I like them. Or at least I want to try them. I can't decide in advance whether I'm going to like them or not, but I want to because I have a lot of respect for Allagash. But it's just really is a neat beer. So in the white, you've got a traditional Belgian white beer. In the Tjarna, you've got what I would say is their interpretation. The Belgians make a lot of sour beers. They make a lot of very vinegary, acidic beers. The Flemish Red is extremely, it's almost like drinking vinegar. It's an acquired taste. But it really is unique. And they were real popular at one time. But what we're seeing now is the popularity of the American craft beers is so great that a lot of beers that used to be imported are getting harder and harder to find. particularly in our part of the country. You can probably find them in New York and Miami and Los Angeles. But the distributors, the importers, are not willing to risk. You can't bring one case in. You got to bring a whole pallet, which is usually 70 to 90 cases. So when you find a beer like this, grab it. If you're a true explorer, if you're a true beeronaut, give it a chance. Happy birthday, Bruce.
Thank you.